In the previous video, we have seen few HTML tags as well as some CSS properties. And we have also designed a navigation bar, and we left at the project part, right? And so in today's video, we are going to see some more display properties. We might actually start grid display property, and then we will see some more CSS properties like positions and background images, and we will also see some HTML tags like image and stuff. So let's get started. So I've already downloaded an image, this image to use for this project. I will just so what I'm go- what I have an idea. So my idea is that we will put some card like things in this project, right? And when you hover on this, they will just scale up, like they will just zoom in, they will increase their widths and heights, and then they just like they it looks like they just came forward, right? We will do something like that. Let me show you an example of this. If I go into this, we can actually see these things, right? When you hover on these will just pop on. We will do something like this now. So I'll just close this and after this, and I will just close this bar. So now we can just go here. I will create a division which will hold all the projects. So I will give an ID name of project name and project holder. What this basically does is it will hold all the cards. So I will create cards now, which is this card, and then we can actually give this as a class name, and we can also use ID, because if we basically style, if we want to style this each card specifically, we can use ID, but we mostly design all the cards in the same way. So I'm gonna use class to style this. And now I'm gonna put the description, the same explanation for this description as well, because we will style all the descriptions of all the projects in the same way. So I'm gonna put this, then I will do lorem. It will just generate a lorem xm text, which is a sample text we use for testing, right? You all know that we explained it in the previous video. And then I'm gonna add a heading for projects. Let's say project one. And then we can actually add the images in two ways. The first one is we will use an absolute image. I will show you the two ways to add the image. So this is the first way we can do this. I will remove these two, and we can actually see that image got added, but it's really huge. So what I'm going to do is I will change the height of this to 150 pixels, and it will change the height of this image to 150 pixels. You can also set the width. Um, so why I'm not using or I'm not setting the width is because if you put one dimension, right, so either height or width, it will automatically set the other dimension which matches its aspect ratio. So if I put height of 150 pixels, it will automatically calculate the width based on the image's aspect ratio, and it will apply the width to this image. So I'm not gonna change the width. I will go for height. So you can change the width and leave the height empty. It will choose the height which matches the aspect ratio. So this is the simply saying this is this thing, and I'm gonna add another one. Let's given learn more text, and then I'm gonna add a simple caret, I mean like simple arrow. We already seen how you can add the icons here. So as a solid, as a chevron. So this icon is known as chevron, right? There is a lot of icons. You can actually, if you don't know the name of the icon, you can simply go to Font Awesome, because we are using Font Awesome in this, right? And then you can go for search, and then you can simply search here. So whatever icon you want. For example, I need a right arrow, right? So I can simply search for right, and then you will see the pro icons first, and then you will see uh, some normal icons like this free icons here. So what you can simply do is you can click on free, and you can see all the free icons you can add into your project. So I added this one. So you can just click on this. So you can simply click on this and it will open a simple window like thing, and you can just click on this and it will copy it to your clipboard, and you can just paste it inside your code, right? So that is how you search for the font types from icons. So now we have a heading, a description, an image, and a link for your project. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it flex display, right? Because let's say if we have a different if you have more projects, like now I have three projects here, and you can see that they are appearing one after other, right? So what I'm going to do is first of all I'm going to change the IDs of this, and then three. Now we have different projects, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for the style, and then I will apply a display flex property for this element. So for the parent element, because this is the card, these are the cards, right? This is the card, this is one card, this is another card, and then this is another card. And all three cards are in this proj holder element. So I will select this proj holder element, which is hash proj holder. And inside this proj holder, what I'm going to do is I will apply display flex property. And you can see that all of these things appeared right after each other, right? Now, if you want to increase the gap between these elements, you can simply use gap, and then you can give the measurement. So as there is already gap, I'm not gonna give any gap for this, but instead I will go here, and then we have these cards, right? I will give a small padding for this card because you can see that the main heading and these things are just uh, very 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 what we say very congested. So what I'm going to do is I will use a small padding, and it will also it will also add some styling, right? Like for example, if I don't give any padding, launch card. If I don't use any padding, what happens is let me show you border 1 pixel solid red. So you can see that there is no gaps, there is no space between these elements particularly, right? And you can also see that there is no gap between these cards basically. If I let me just show you even better. So if I use background color, let's say gray probably, you can see that there is no gap between all these three cards because we didn't use any margins or any gap. If you didn't reset the margins and paddings here, because in the previous video we can see this, yeah, right? We reset the whole padding and margins in the previous video. So if we don't do this, then these div elements will have a default padding and default margins, which will actually apply a gap between them. But now we can simply just go here, and then I'll just add a gap of 20 pixels, maybe. Yeah, now they look like a different elements, right? But they are not quite looking like a card. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a little padding for every element, and I will add only padding at the bottom and the top of this. But we will add a little bit of padding overall of this card. So I'm gonna remove the. I will just leave it this way because uh, to show the difference, right? For padding, and then I will use something around 10 pixels of padding. Now you can see that we have a little what is the gap on all four sides. And now I'm gonna add proj. I will use an asterisk. So what this basically mean is we are selecting all the elements inside dot proj card element. You can actually see when you hover on this, it actually show you the selector specificity. So you can see that the element we are selecting all the elements. You can see dots, right? So it means that you are selecting all the elements inside the element which has a class name of proj card. So after you select, you can simply do something like padding. I'm not going to give a huge padding, and we are only applying padding at the top and the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put something in 5 pixels and 0. So in the previous video, I have explained these short terms, right? How you can what the first value mean and what the second value mean, and how else you can add the paddings for different directions. If you wanna know more, you can actually refer to the previous video. Now we can see that we have a padding for up and the bottom of this, and I will actually give a little bit of margin. Let's say maybe around 5 pixels. Now we can see that because it's actually right beneath this project, so I just put that, and now you can see that the last card is going out of bounds, right? So what we basically need is we want to put this card at the bottom, or you have to change the width of these cards manually. But if the aspect ratio is changed, like the display size is changed, they won't automatically change their widths because we are using pixels here, right? We can use rem and em for what we say responsive design. But for now we are going to use a property called flex wrap and then wrap, and we are using this thing inside in the project folder which holds all the cards. So now you can see that when I did the flex wrap, you can see that all three things got after, right? The one like it's in the vertical way. So now we have another problem, which is they are not looking like cards, but they are looking like some boxes, right? So what we're gonna do is we will now apply width of, let's say, 200 pixels of for each, but we have we are getting this images, right? So I will increase a bit more, something around 250 pixels. Well, it's fine. You can actually just put this, and then if we change the width of this, how much? 250, right? So I'm gonna give 250 width to all this. So it will select the height automatically. So I'm using width because it will actually match with these element, right? And it will look good. So width, width, and width. Now we can see that the width also matches here. Now we want the image. We can just put this images this way as well because this is also looking good, but not that good. But we can also put this as a background, or we can just leave it. I will tell you how you can put these images in the back of this description and all this stuff. Uh, Before that, we will apply some more styling for this project cards, right? Now, the another thing we wanna see is if we visit the previous website which I just visited, we can see that they have the corners of these cards. There is a little bit of curve here, right? To get that curve, we use a property called border radius, and then we will set the border radius in different units. Like you can already see the units here: 0%, cap, ch, cm. So the thing I use most is rem or em. So rem and em are it's more like a responsive units because pixels are fixed, right? If you say 100 pixels, it doesn't matter what display you are using. Display resolution, we don't care about any display resolution. If you put 100 pixels, it will take 100 pixels. But if you use EM and REM, they are related to the display, or some units are related to the font size. So in the same way, what I use is I mostly use REM for almost all the measurements. And then for width and heights, I use DV. So viewport. We basically call it as viewport. VW, VH, and we also have DVH and DVW. We will see that in the future videos. And now we can see that we have curves here, right? So if we want to make this, like, you can see if I go to the previous website, we can see that they look just a normal way. And when you hover on them, the background color is changed, right? To make this happen, you will use something called as pseudo classes. Let me remove the both of these. So we can see that these things just looking normal, right? Now if I, so to use pseudo classes, we use the, so we will use the pseudo class. We will first, what we say, we will first type the element. So the first we will select the element, and now we will apply the pseudo classes, which we can just put a colon and it will show you the pseudo class. These are all the pseudo classes we can use. These are all the pseudo classes we can use to style the element. So what this basically says, these so these things, right, after and before, we'll use this after and before even more in the future videos. So I won't say about after and before now. We'll say them later. So what these will select your element further, right? If let's say for example we are using in the project card, right? We can use hover. I will use hover here. So hover. So whenever you hover on this element, project card element. So these three are project card elements, right? So whenever you hover on them, this style will apply. So if I use background color of, let's say, gray. So if I don't hover, they look the same. But if I hover, you can see that the background color changed, right? So these are like the triggers, event triggers. And you can also put the, there are a lot of things. You can also do it through JS. Basically, we will see how you can do that in JavaScript as well. But for now, we will just go with this. So now you can see that we have all three elements and I mean all three cards, and I will give a little darkish theme for this because gray is looking really bad. Yeah. So now we can see that the it's looking a lot better now, right? And now what I'm gonna do is, even though they look like a bit good, it's not really that good. So we can just leave it this way because it's also not that bad looking. But now we can put another thing. Like if you hover on this, it's appearing like uh, it's appearing like fixed, right? There is no, it's not appearing smoothly. It's just appearing discretely, right? So it's appearing very fast. So what I'm gonna do is I will apply another property known as transition. So what this transition is, in simple terms, we can say transition as a smoothness, like for animations, right? So I'm gonna use zero point 0.2 seconds. Ease in out. You can also remove ease in out because I will show you what these ease in out and ease and stuff. For now, let's just see. So I give zero point 0.2 zero point 0.2 seconds, right? So whenever we hover on this project card element, so it will take zero point 0.2 seconds to apply this background color. So it goes from the background color of this project card, which is transparent, to this thing in zero point 0.2 seconds. So if I hover on this, you can see that it's now smooth, right? But it's only smooth when you hover on it. But when you just take it out, it's again fast. So we have to apply transition for this too. Now, if I hover on it, it will slowly appear. And if I hover down on it, it will slowly disappear. The background changes very smoothly, right? You can see the difference. Before it appeared directly and it's like flashing, right? Now it's smooth. And then there is a something called ease in, out, ease out. There is also another thing called linear. These are like, um, we will see this in the future videos, because if I explain this, we have to open the dev tools and then we can see it more better in that way. So I will just leave it this way for now. And then even if we added this transition, it's not really that good, right? So I'm gonna add another property called as box shadow. So what this box shadow basically does is it will add a shadow for this element, right? You can also add the shadows for inside, but I'm gonna add just outside. So the first one will say about the what we say amount of or we will do this the first property will be color, right? So I'm gonna choose black. And the next one is the what we say the intensity of this color. So I'll do 5 pixels, and then the next one will be blur actually. So I will use 2%, 2 pixels blur, right? So if you see this, you can see that there is a shadow, right? Box shadow. You can see that, right? So you can either use this or you can also do something like translate, and then we can do okay transform. We say transform, not translate. Transform, and then scale. Let's say 0.5, 1.5. So if you hover on this will zoom in, right? So if I hover on this, you can see that it zoomed in, and the transition applied because we already have transition in this. You can see that the whenever I hover on this, they will just zoom in. I can actually put 0.2. It's still huge. You can see that the difference, right? So if I put one, you don't see any difference because one is just scale one. So one into one will be one, right? So so you don't really see any difference if you put just one. So if I put 1.1, you can actually see the difference again. So this is the scale, and you can also change this cursor type. Now we can see that it's just a default cursor, right? If you want to change it to the pointer, you can simply use cursor property and then pointer. Now if I hover on this, you can see that the cursor is changing to this, hand index pointing thing, right? So in that way, you can actually change point I mean cursor to a lot of other things. You can actually see all the things we can use here. Layers, all scroll, auto cell. You can use a lot of things, but I'm going to use what did I use here? Point, yeah, point. Now you can see that you can also see that whenever I'm hovering it, it's hovering over the nav element, right? So now we basically what we have to do is we have to give the z index to the max to navigation bar because when I hover it, but I wanna go to this social things. This project card is what we say blocking this thing, right? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to navigation, and then I will use Z-index. So in this Z-index, you can put the highest value we will ever use. So let's say 100. Now this will stay at the top of everything, even when we scroll. I mean, even when there are like the other element, the scale or change the dimensions, we don't really have to bother about these. So we added these things. So I already told we are going to see how you can change this image, right? So we can put image in a two ways. So I'm gonna show this. This is actually looking good for now, but to show how you can put the image as the background, I'm going to add few more properties. So we don't have any class name for images. So let's create class name for images. Proj image. Let's say proj image for now. I'm gonna copy this and then I will paste it here and then here. So now we have class names for all these three images, right? Now there is a property name called as position. Uh, and we already seen position actually in the previous video, right? We use position fixed for the navigation bar. Now we are going to use position absolute for three images. So the difference between the fixed and absolute is let's say we have a project structure like this, right? We have a element structure like this HTML structure, and then there is heading CSV, And hello, I am CSP. This is the description and heading and description. Let's say I put the position fix for this element. So what this basically does is the position will be fixed here. It won't go at the top or it won't go to the bottom. It will only fixed at the after rendering. After you just load the page, after loaded, if this stays here and it has a position fixed, it will stay here no matter how much you scroll. It will just stay here. Let me show you. For example, if I go here and then I will edit this, and if I put, or I can just put, I will just put it here. Position fixed. You can see that this about me text is here, right? So even when you scroll, it just stays there. It won't just move with the scrolling. So it's like it just came out of it, but the position is fixed. But absolute is different. So what absolute does is when you put the absolute, the position will change to the absolute point, which then we know that the absolute points are basically zero, right? Zero, zero. Let's say if this is a grid system, and every pixel, if you take a cubes, right? If you just do um uh how can we say it, like um if we take a grid system, let me just show you grid. So let's say we have something like this. If we draw these lines, right, like this on this page, we can see that we have a lot of cubes, right? Let's say this is a cube 0 by 0 and 0 by 1, 0 by 2. If we just take rows and columns, this will be 0 by 0, 0 by 1, 0 by 2, so and so on. Right now, if you put the absolute, what happens is wherever you put the absolute, it will just take its position as 0 0 of its parent, right? So these things have the parent of project holder, right? So if I put position absolute for this, it should snap to the 0 0 position of its parent. So the starting position of its parent. It will be a bit confusing when I explain without any images or things, but I will try to give as much as possible, right? Because there is another limitation for this position absolute, which is if I, let me show you. So I will select proj image and then I will apply position absolute. So I added position absolute here, right? So what basically happened is you can see that the card is ending here, and then we have and then we have images here, right? So if I don't do if when you do position absolute, and if your images or elements whatever you put didn't have this, right? Because like how can we say, if they don't appear like this, what you have to do is you have to put position absolute to its parent. So in our case, this is the parent. So if I do position related here, you can basically see that now these follow the um, absolute position of its parent. Sometimes it just, what happens is when you apply position apply, a position absolute, these images will snap to this 0 0 point so far here, right? So what basically happened is I actually forgot to put another one, which is top 0. So when I put top 0, and if I remove relative here, you can see that they are snapping to the top of the body, right? So you can see this, all the images just snaps to the top of the body element or a document element. So if I put position relative to the parent of these images, then it will snap to the parent absolute position, like parent's 0 0 position. So we can just put it this way, and now I'm gonna just change the height of this to something like maybe 400 pixels. So 400 pixels is huge. I'm gonna use 270 pixels or 250. We can just go with 250 pixels. 250 pixels is also huge. 150, 200. I'll go for 180. It's not bad. It's not bad. But now we have another problem, which is we can see that the images is blocking the content, right? And there is something wrong with these two images because I think one it's taking this position related to this, right? There may be a structural difference here. Okay, with this, but we'll just leave it that way for now. And then we have position rate here, position absolute here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a z index property here, then index, and I'll give -1 maybe. And you can now see that the this image has the is at the bottom is behind the text. So this is one way to put your images in the background. And the another way is that we can simply comment out this, and then I'll go here, and then we will remove this, and now we'll go for project card because these are the cards we have, right? So we go for project card, and then we will use background. You can use background or background image, both are fine. I'm going to use background URL, and then images test.jpg. Now we have these images as the background. So but you can see that the aspect ratio doesn't change, right? We can change that by using background size to maybe cover. So now you can see that the background images are really good. So that's it for this video. We have seen how you can just create the card systems and then how you can apply background images. In the future videos, we will see some more things like how we will go even more deeper. So like we will apply some background blur for these images and stuff, and then we will navigate through these, and then we will see some more animations and stuff. So that's it for this video, and thank you for watching.